There's nothing in this glass. Hi, my name's Zeph Siebler of Zeph Reviews F&F. Zeph Reviews Francie and Finch. Francie and Finch is located just south of Oak Street on 13th, next to Walgreens and in the old telephone building. And today I'm here to review a book called Rebel Genius by Michael Dante DiMartino. Now, you may have heard the name before, and the reason you might have heard the name before is because he worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender and its sequel, The Legend of Korra. So if you enjoyed those TV series, you will definitely enjoy Rebel Genius. Rebel Genius is about, well, it takes a little bit to explain the world before I explain the plot. But essentially, there is this empire called the Zizolian Empire, right? Which is really fun to say. Zizolian. I recommend reading it aloud a few times once you hear it for the first time. And it's the Zizolian Empire, which was founded by a really creative and powerful dude whose name eludes me. And he created 3 artifacts of power to help him basically create the land. And so was the Zizolian Empire. That his successor, whose name also eludes me, but I know it starts with an N, basically went, you know what? We're banning creativity. And the reason she did that is because creativity leads to art. And art is magic. And magic is art. They're intertwined in this world in such a way that the artists are magicians. And they can create impossibly beautiful works of art and manipulate reality with their art in the way that magic works in other similar fantasy novels and universes. So our story is set around a young boy named Giacomo, who I assume is named after Giacomo Casanova. I keep saying Casanovi. I'm sorry, this is my 4th take. Giacomo Casanova, the Venetian scoundrel, and he should have gotten his genius a long time ago. And I'll explain geniuses in a second, but he hasn't yet. He's almost double the age he should have been in order to receive his genius. But he is one of the creative few, so he lives in the sewers. And he receives his genius late. Now, what a genius is it's a manifestation of magical. This cup is empty. I should just put it down. It's a magical manifestation of creative energy, which typically appears as, in fact, it always appears as a bird, but it's always got some signature that makes it specifically your genius. For example, the dictator genius, the only genius allowed in the land, is just this horrible, evil-looking, gargoyle-type monstrosity. And this is Giacomo's genius right here on the cover. So this plunges him into a world of excitement, adventure, friendships, bitter enemies, and a quest to stop an evil mastermind from destroying the entirety of the Zizolian Empire with the 3 artifacts. What makes this book really interesting is that use of art being magic. Because in typical fantasy books, and this is definitely a fantasy, even with its heavy Italian Renaissance themes, it's most certainly a fantasy book. It's just, instead of being based on medieval Europe, it's Renaissance Italy, which is quite interesting as well. But it's different from normal fantasy books because in normal fantasy books, it's always the brave and the bold and the wise and the strong and the powerful, you know, Igar the Great wielding Excalibur sort of kings, and Gandalf the White wielding the staff of ultimate magic power, and it never focuses on the creative. It's only the powerful and the destined to be. But in this book, it's the creativity that gives these people their magic, and it's extremely interesting to see how the art and the magic interweave in this book. It's got vivid descriptions as well, so it's quite fun to read, and it really puts you into the picture. You can get this book. Oh, if you'll excuse me, I forgot to tell you who this book is good for. It is good for people who like the Fablehaven series, the Spirit Animal series, people who like steampunk, because there are some hints of sort of that gritty, hunted type genre. People who like dystopias, because most certainly this is a fantastical dystopia, but it is a dystopia indeed. Fans of course, Avatar: The Last Airbender and other works of Michael Dante DiMartino. And people who like the twisted fantasy genre, where it's the typical fantasy trope with a single twist, like it's set in modern day, or the magic is technology, or we're all in a giant sphere floating on the back of a god turtle or something. That was sort of a hybridization of two twisted fantasy books. But anyway, this is a wonderful book. I highly recommend it, and you can come down to F&F and get it. F&F is a bookstore, Francie and Finch, indeed. This is Francie. Say hello, Francie. Please don't. I don't like that thing. It's extremely creepy to me. Typically there's some cider out and some baked goods. It's quite a lovely place. It's got a wide selection, and if you don't see what you're immediately looking for, the owner, Leslie Huerta, can probably order it for you. In fact, she's a personal friend of mine. So come on down to F&F. Get a book, read. It's a wonderful environment. They've also got some nice art hanging about that is available for purchase, and some nice local creative things. And come on down to F&F. Thank you, and let me drink again from the empty cup for the sake of gimmickry. Goodbye, and thank you for watching Zeph Reviews F&F.